2021 college football season against Pittsburgh. Miami gets to the Goodyear Cotton Bowl Classic by way of beating Texas A&M in the first round of the college football playoff. We have not seen Ohio State since they lost to Indiana in the Big Ten championship game, earlier this month. I was about to say, it feels like it was like a month and a half ago, but that was December 6th. In Indianapolis. I know this sounds so simple. This sounds like, typical meathead football guy talk, but this is the battle of the trenches. This is Ohio State's offensive line and Miami's defensive line going head to head here. Because the last time we saw Julian Sayin out, he got sacked and sacked a lot. He went into that Big Ten championship game having been sacked, I believe it was like 6 times on the season. They nearly doubled that amount in one game alone. So when you try to forecast this and think, will this be a close game? Where's the game decided? I think pretty handedly, most people are telling you this is Ohio State's game, and it won't even feel like a close game, Myron.
Yeah, Miami ain't Indiana. They ain't got to deal with Fernando Mendoza. They don't have to deal with Kirk Cignetti. It's just a different thing. And defensively, yes, Miami has been tough. But offensively with Ohio State, that's just a different beast in terms of Jeremiah Smith and some of the weapons that they have. But we're also not talking enough about Carson Beck trying to solve that Ohio State defense, which, Courtney, is full of dudes who are going to be playing on Sunday a year from now. So I think this is expected to be a really lopsided game. If Miami finishes within single digits, I think people would count that as a victory because they just don't expect this game to be very close at all.
It's just wild how long it's been since we've seen Ohio State play in a game and the layoff. Like, imagine if this was any other league, if this was the NFL and you had that much time in between the last time you played in a game and then to get ready for your next opponent. There's obviously the factor of health. It benefits you there. You can get guys that were injured back ready to play. But the layoff and what that does to teams. We saw it with Oregon last year. What happened when they were the number 1 overall seed and then they got trounced when they were playing in a New Year's Six bowl. Does it happen to Ohio State? How have they been handling the layoff? Let's hear from the Ohio State head coach, Ryan Day, on what this team has learned since the IU loss.
Well, I just think, it all comes down to our mindset and our preparation. And, we've had a few weeks to go through and identify the things that we've done well during the regular season and then the things that we need to do better in order to win this game. Because that's the focus, is winning this game. That's it. Nothing else. And so, there's been things that we've done well and then things that we don't do well. Now, there's always issues. So whether you win a game or lose a game, the issues are always there. When you lose a game, it certainly, as I say, rips open the scab and it allows you to dive into things a little bit deeper, which is exactly what we did. So, we certainly have used this last 3 weeks to get ourselves ready to play this game. And, there's a lot that goes with it. And I think we've had a good plan going into it. And so now we need another great day of preparation. And I feel like when you get into the playoffs, you have to rebuild momentum. And that's exactly what we need to do here.
He's right, and they would know that all too well because they won a national championship last year. They know what it's like when there is that layoff. Granted, they had won in the Big Ten championship game to get into the CFP as this incredible story from last year. They're carrying it into this year. Their defense, as you mentioned, lost a lot of talent to the NFL. They go out and get Matt Patricia as their defensive coordinator, and they reload. So I asked the question this morning, and I want to hear from you guys calling in on the Dr. Pepper call-in line. Who is this team to beat in the CFP? Because the first round games didn't give us a whole ton to be excited about. There are a lot of lopsided losses, talk of the group of 5 and whether they even belong in the CFP conversation going forward. I know, and granted, I come forward with the bias that I have. You see the little basketball behind me if you're watching on ESPN2 right now. I am an Indiana grad. I'm very excited about the Rose Bowl. But is Indiana the best team in the field in the eyes of everybody else watching the CFP? Myron, when you think about who has the best chance to win the national championship, is it the overall 1 seed or is it a team like Ohio State that has been there before, that has repeated their path to get to the CFP, to get the first round bye, and now we get a chance to see them take on a team that they are clearly better than and will overmatch tonight?
Yeah, the name brand stuff doesn't matter anymore in the NIL era. Like, I think the people who doubt Indiana because, to your point, they haven't done it before. But isn't that the circumstance for any team that wins it for the first time? Like, to me, Indiana's still the team to beat. And I'll say this. The winner of Indiana-Alabama is going to win the national championship, right? I think Indiana's the best team. And if Alabama can beat that team, I would pick them going forward. I just think Indiana is a complete team. They beat this Ohio State team that a lot of people are convinced can make a run to another national championship. I don't know what more evidence you need to have the Heisman Trophy winner. If you put Notre Dame on the backs of that Indiana team, if you put Texas, if you put USC and some of these name brands, people would say, of course, that's the favorite to win it all. But it still feels like folks are waiting for Indiana to prove something. What else did they have to prove?
Nothing.
They went to Oregon, and they beat Oregon on the road in their house. They beat Ohio State when people said they couldn't do that. The Hoosiers, to me, are still the team to beat in this whole field.
Yeah, Penn State game, battle-tested, game-winning drive. The resume says it all, but there's a lot of really good teams that are about to kick off their quest towards a national championship tonight, beginning tonight, and obviously going in these New Year's 6 games. ESPN Radio going to have you covered for all of the bowl game action over the course of the next couple of days. Today, we've got the ReliaQuest Bowl, followed by the Cheez-It Citrus Bowl, and of course, you'll end your day listening to the Goodyear Cotton Bowl Classic, a CFP quarterfinal game between Miami and Ohio State. Our coverage going to begin a little bit after we're off here on Unsportsmanlike, 11:30 a.m. Eastern Time on ESPN Radio and the ESPN app. We're going to have so much more getting into these games, getting you ready for an incredible day of college football, but straight ahead is the path to the Super Bowl this year out in Santa Clara. Easier through the AFC or the NFC. It's on Sportsmanlike ESPN Radio.
Kicks off New Year's Eve with Miami and Ohio State. Joined now by ESPN college football analyst E.J. Manuel. As we look at this particular matchup, you got the defending champion going against a team that was the last at-large team to get into the tournament, if you will. What do you make of this matchup that's going to maybe determine the outcome?
I really think it's going to come down to the trench warfare for both of these teams. Now, it's really the protection of Ohio State, who gave up 5 sacks against Indiana in that Big Ten championship game. And then it's also the Miami Hurricane front 4. You can even include the front 7.
Yeah.
Their ability to rush the passer. They got 7 sacks against Texas A&M in the opening rounds of the college football playoff. Ruben Bain, Akeem Mesidor, Ahmad Moten, if they can continue to react and get havoc on Julian Sayin, that's going to create some issues. Now, for Ohio State, Ryan Day, their head coach, is actually calling the plays in this matchup. I would assume Coach Day is going to get to a lot of quick game. Allow Carnell Tate, Jeremiah Smith, Brandon Ennis catch the ball in space, force those DBs to come up and make tackles for Miami.
Yeah, let their playmakers make plays in space.
Absolutely.
So 1 on New Year's Eve, 3 on New Year's Day, which is mad cool for college football fans. Which game, though, stands out to you the most?
Yeah, the Orange Bowl matchup. One, because it's the tightest line as far as the betting odds, but also you look at Oregon and Texas Tech. The way that these teams are built, I think with Texas Tech, it starts with the defense. Jacob Rodriguez won pretty much any award that you could get as a defensive player here in the postseason. He has 4 interceptions on the year. He's a turnover machine, also with 7 forced fumbles. His ability to read and react. He's also a former quarterback, Michael, which is pretty interesting. He was a walk-on at UVA. He's almost reading exactly what the quarterback's going to do. That's going to be the huge matchup. And then you also got other linebackers, Ben Roberts, David Bailey, these kind of guys who can also get after the passer. But I do love Dante Moore. And also the fact that Oregon's already played a game here in the playoff. Be interesting to see, because maybe that's something that kind of gives them a leg up against maybe a sluggish Texas Tech football team.
Yeah, again, all good matchups all across the board here in the Elite 8. And he's got to cover and watch all of them.
That's right.